Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
It's that time again. It's time for Guys of a Certain Age. I have no pithy, smart comment to open with. I'm just Robbie Copeland sitting in front of a mic alongside
Art Shirley
and Jay Reed.
You notice he's sounding more and more like Lurch every time. Art.
If only had the height.
I mean, you really were. That was, Jay, that was a very Lurch-like.
Say you rang.
You rang.
I got Southern real quick.
Yeah, you did.
You rang.
It's Lurch's if he was from Laurel. Yeah.
You rang.
The bell.
Adams Hillbillies.
My dad is watching Beverly Hillbillies every day. Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
So he gets up and we either have it. We've got it on Pluto, right? So it's either on Beverly Hillbillies, I Love Lucy, Andy Griffith, or Gunsmoke.
Okay.
That's what we rotate through.
Yeah.
Bonnie is sick of the whistling intro to Andy Griffith.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It does kind of what you call earworm. Yeah, I think it's an earworm pretty quick.
Sorry.
No,
You're
go ahead.
welcome. You're welcome.
Okay.
I can't whistle that high.
No, come on. The Andy Griffith Show. Yeah. Very
Starring
good.
Andy Griffith,
Yeah.
Ronnie Cox, and Don Knotts.
Ronnie Cox.
Ronnie Cox, Ronnie Howard. Ronnie Cox is the actor from Deliverance. We share a birthday. And so,
Okay. Yet again, with the 90 seconds
I'm
off
telling
the
you, the
rails.
mind is going quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. But nothing else. So there's nothing about us that's quick. So let's jump into some Geeks of the Week. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Jay.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, we're really turning things around now that he's retired. Yeah. So, are y'all fans of The Big Bang Theory?
I am, yes.
Robbie, have you watched it?
Saves the universe. No, I haven't. But yeah.
Once again, he steals my geek. Just jumps right in there.
So
Was
what
that
is
going to
the-
be yours? Yeah. So
No, he hasn't got a geek yet.
So
I haven't
my
got a
dad is a huge fan of Big Bang Theory. Like we have pillows and t-shirts.
Really?
Yeah, we've got.
Do you have a
yeah.
Bazinga shirt? Does he have a Bazinga shirt?
I don't think it says Bazinga. It's
Okay, we're
it's
gonna
more math
flash.
related because he's
Okay,
a math
yeah,
professor.
gotcha.
I can't remember what the t-shirt says.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, so lots of stuff, lots of DVDs around, mini seasons.
Yeah.
He's watched it all probably multiple times. So for the first time, I guess Young Sheldon was the first spinoff
Yes.
of Big Bang. So the second spinoff is coming, and it is called Stuart Fails to Save the Universe.
Yes.
So it's got Kevin Sussman, who plays Stuart Bloom. I have watched it. I love the show, but I don't watch it all the time.
Stuart Bloom is the comic book store owner.
Comic book store owner.
He originally auditioned for the for the role of Howard.
Okay.
Howard Wolowitz. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then we've got the other character that I recognize. There may be more. I try to just kind of scroll through and see if anybody else. Johnny Galecki, who is Leonard, he just kind of appears in archive footage.
Okay.
Best I can tell. But John Ross Bowie,
Okay.
who is Kripke
Okay.
in Big
Yeah.
Bang. He comes back in it as well.
He's one of the fellow scientists, has the speech impediment.
Right.
Uh-huh.
White.
Yes, that's right. White.
So anyway, it seems to kind of have all the elements of Guys of a Certain Age, the kind of things we talk about. It's got comic books, obviously. It's got aliens, I think. It's got multiple universes,
Universes, I think, but
Yeah.
I like Universi.
So yeah, so you could call this the Big Bang
Not to
Theory.
be confused with Uncle Si.
Right.
Uncle Si.
the BBTU, the Big Bang Theory universe. So the third
But it
installment.
actually has alternate universes.
It really does.
That's what
yeah.
you said.
Yeah,
It really does have that. Okay.
Yeah.
I
And
just saw the trailer for the first time night before last.
Yeah, it looks fun.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you're a fan of the show, it looks like it's got enough familiarity with some characters, but without being the same show.
Yeah.
So it's going to be completely
Yeah, it
different.
looks a very different show. Yeah,
Yes.
which I think is smart.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if you enjoy that, you probably enjoy this.
Where can one find the show?
HBO Max, I believe.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. And debuts July 23rd, which is a very, very big day around
That's
here.
Ronnie Cox's birthday.
And somebody else's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Reed, my father.
Mr. Reed and Mr. Shirley.
Mr. Shirley.
His other father. Your father.
Your father.
I'm your Robbie. I'm your father.
Your audio father.
Your audio father.
Your audio
The odd father.
The
odd father. A-U-D. Oh,
You know what Adam Curry calls himself, right? Do you know? You remember Adam Curry from
Yes.
MTV, Headbangers Ball?
Yeah.
So he calls himself the Pod Father because he arguably had the first podcast ever.
Okay.
So he calls himself the Pod Father.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that's not my geek though, but
Should be.
yeah, probably should. Who do you got, Art?
I am talking about, since it's this time of year, commencement speakers. And one thing you should never mention if you're a commencement speaker is AI. Oh, okay. More whistling.
Go ahead.
Anyway, I don't know if y'all have seen these. Jay, you said you hadn't seen them
not.
before, but there's several different speakers that have come out. And as soon as they mentioned AI, they get roundly booed by the graduates there. It's understandable because, they've been told the whole time that they can't use AI for any of their work. And now they're supposed to embrace it in the workplace. And oh, by the way, you probably won't be in the workplace because AI is going to take all your jobs. And
That's right.
It's these big money CEOs that are telling them this, who are already, kind of at the end of their careers, or have certainly, made it where they don't have to worry about AI. And they're just
Like Jay. Or
like
you,
Jay.
who's retired.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So you've got former Google CEO Eric Schmidt, who spoke at the University of Arizona and talked about the transformative power of AI, and the crowd booed him right away. And you've also got, this is the first one I saw, Gloria Caulfield, who was a Tavistock executive. She was at the University of Central Florida. They started booing her. She just went, what are they doing? Why are they booing me? She couldn't understand it. But they did not like that at all. And this was, to me, one of the good ones. Glendale Community College. I don't know if you've seen this one yet, but they had AI reading the names of the graduates.
40% wrong, baby.
And it just left out
wrong.
folks, and she had to come out and explain. Tiffany Hernandez had to come out and explain what was going on, and they just really booed her real bad.
They should have booed her. That's pretty egregious.
The one that the one commencement speaker that's mentioned here in this story I got, which was compiled by AI, full disclosure, is Steve Wozniak. He of Apple history and fame. He was at Grand Valley State University, and he said that the most important AI you already have, and that's actual intelligence, emphasizing that true human cognitive capability remains irreplaceable. So good for Woz for coming up with that at the end. But it is funny just how tone deaf these speakers seem to be, that you're coming here and you're telling these folks who have been hearing, as we all have, that jobs are going away because of AI. AI is the future. It's what you want to do.
So look, I'll do my geek here in a second. We're going to vamp a little bit for time, even though we probably shouldn't because we've got a huge second segment.
Okay.
What do you guys feel about data center placement?
Oh yeah, I just it seems like it's a necessary evil, but good grief, you hear these horror stories from people that are close to the data centers and what they're doing. You're talking about like the Mississippi is we're saying no to data centers, or what's
it's being encouraged.
Okay.
I mean, because number one, you've got
our
plenty
politicians are encouraging it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I don't necessarily have a problem with it because from a standpoint, you have a lot of land. You can place it away from population centers.
But they're not doing that so often.
Well, if we put, Bonnie and I were talking last night, if they put a data center up here north of us on right off of, 389, 82, we probably wouldn't have an issue with it. Because
what about the water?
Have been the water and the power.
So the water, of course, Mississippi has an abundance of water. So that's not that big of an issue here as opposed to, drought-stricken Southwest America.
Right.
But the power is the thing. And, guys, let's be honest, Steel Dynamics pulls more power than a data center would, and in places like that. So I don't have an issue with it per se. Data centers are going to be built. Are they going to be built here where we have control, or are they going to be built in Southeast Asia where all our data is going through?
Yeah.
And we don't have as much control over that. To me, that's the big question.
Yeah, and I heard on the power water aspect, I heard this week, and again, this is just, I heard this from somebody, I don't know any details, but apparently a area of California that was previously getting water from Nevada, water or Power One, Nevada's now saying we can't supply it to you anymore because we're building this big data center here and it's going to go to that. And so California, who has all these laws about what they can do and what they can't with power, structures, now they're stuck because I think their own laws prevent them from doing something that they were getting from somebody else. Now they're in a fix.
They've painted themselves into a corner. And, ideally, you open up a small nuclear plant next door to it, or you have massive solar panels and you're able to not burden the grid down. So, but there's a data center being built outside of Meridian that's going, the ad valorem tax addition to the county and city school district should be transformative because you can't, for property tax in the state of Mississippi, you can give an abatement for the city county portion, but you can't for the school portion. Correct, Art?
Yeah.
So if you've got a large data center coming in, you're looking at just massive ad valorem tax addition to the tax base for the school district, which should just be pretty incredible.
So the city and county can give it away to promote and to bring in the business, but the school tax can't be.
Right. Most folks don't realize that your property tax is built into three components: the city component, the county component, and then the school district component.
Okay.
And, here in Starkville, if the city is by far the smallest of those three components, county's huge, school is half of your tax bill, and the school can go up to 10% annually, I believe, without
that's right.
Without having to do a bond issue.
Yes, exactly. I think it's 10%, or I think that's what it was.
I think it's 10% across the board. You can raise 10% annually, but if the city goes up, I think the city's somewhere around 26 mils here in Starkville, maybe 28. The county's in 60 plus mils, and I think the school district's in 80 plus mil territory. But if the city goes up a mil or a mil and a half, it just becomes a furor, even though the folks here in Oktibbeha County don't pay attention to really what the Board of Supervisors does or the school district does for the most part when they raise, not to get off into taxes. Let's talk about religion next. So
the water is used primarily for cooling of the data center, right? Okay. There's some, I don't know, can't remember who it is that's proposing putting them underwater, putting them in coastal areas of the sea, so you'd have this cooling. Of course, you've got salt water, which could be a problem.
I'll go throw in Oktibbeha County Lake. We're not doing anything else out there.
I don't think there's any water in it right now.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought that was an interesting idea. One of the tech people are thinking of that.
It just becomes at what point, do you understand that this is what the future is, and you can scream NIMBY all you want, or NIMBY or whatever, not in my backyard, so it's NIMBY. But if you're going to advocate and let it go to other places, then don't scream when your data is being used against you, or it's just, I don't know.
I hadn't even thought about it that way.
I mean, that's one of the reasons DJI, who manufactures drones and other camera systems, are no longer allowed to bring new product to market in the U.S. because DJI has a contract somehow, some way with the Chinese military.
Right.
And so there's concerns of data leakage. And so state agencies already could not purchase a DJI product in most states. And
we couldn't at state. I mean, and that's what everybody had. It was kind of the default, de facto drone, right?
Yeah, they're by far the best product out there. And now the newest DJI products can't come to market because of a FCC list. And so, I mean,
wow.
We were at the last row crop short course, which is an annual event held that the Extension and Farm Bureau put on. Mississippi State Extension and Farm Bureau helped put on. Farm Bureau is a sponsor, I believe. they had somebody talking about, and one of the main parts of the presentation were, here are other places you can get drones for, surveying property or for pesticide application. And, it's like not DJI. So these are ones that are approved.
DJI is by far the market leader, and everybody else who's tried to come out with a drone just doesn't do nearly as well. So I don't know. Anyway, I guess that rank could be my geek of the week. That was kind of geekish. Anyway.
Yeah, very geekish.
Well, I was just going to point out that Peter Safran, who's the other half of DCU, had said that Millie Acock's Supergirl is going to come back in Man of Tomorrow.
Okay.
So that was going to be.
I kind of expected that.
Yeah, I kind of expected that.
Crypto's dying, though. I heard, though.
Yeah. Along with
Crypto's
Cyborg.
dead. Yeah.
Along with Cyborg.
Cyclops.
How caught up on For All Mankind are you?
We haven't watched anything but the first episode, and Becky and I talked about it yesterday, as a matter of fact, because I said, can I go ahead and watch these? Do you care about? And she goes, no, go ahead. Because we keep finding something else to watch. We started Widow's Bay.
How do you like that?
Oh, we really like it a lot. It's scary, though. It's genuinely scary. It's funny. It's also very funny.
Yeah.
But it's like Stephen King wrote Jaws, and then, there's not a shark in it, but there's just, it's like you're the same kind of town, like from Amity.
Yeah.
But it's good. We've really enjoyed it a lot.
Well, For All Mankind's phenomenal.
Yeah. I think we're one episode. I think we just have to watch the final.
Yeah, I'm one behind you then. So
I may start watching that. In fact, that's what I plan to do, is start watching that.
And my mom's been watching it too, because they have that space connection. There's some of these names that came out, especially in the first. I told her I didn't spoil it. I said, watch the first episode. You're going to be blown away.
She's really liked it, though, right?
Yeah, she's really liked it, and I think she's probably finished.
Yeah,
because some of those people they like cross paths with.
We
can talk about that more when
we need to do a wrap episode.
Yeah, I'll try to go ahead and get it.
Yeah,
it's got one more season or one more.
It's one more season, then they're wrapped.
Okay, so they are doing one more final.
I think
season.
they're doing season.
Oh, this isn't the last. I thought this was it. Okay.
Well, I could be incorrect.
I'm not sure
because I know they got Star City launching.
Yeah.
Okay, so it would make sense to kind of have those two overlap. That seems like what the Star Trek model was. You have one series that lasted a season, so you'd have two of them together.
Star Trek, which has
no seasons anymore now.
Well, Strange New Worlds, their last season. That's and then it's all gone bye-bye.
Yeah.
Just like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Boy, this is going to be the first time, I think we talked about this, first time in decades where you have no new Star Trek or no new Doctor Who, because those two overlap. And maybe no new Star Wars based upon.
Maybe no new guys of a certain age. We don't have anything to talk about.
All right. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. I had a fascinating conversation with Kevin Ivey and his career with CNN and Ted Turner stories, and Fidel Castro makes a guest appearance. And we're back, and we've got one of our amazing interviews. We haven't had an interview on the show in a while. On the other side of the digital divide, it's Mr. Kevin Ivey, fellow Meridianite, Mississippi State alum. What else? Give me your title now, Kevin.
Hey, Robbie, thanks for having me. I do the sports entertainment development for projects for Baker Audiovisual in Atlanta. So we do large-scale audiovisual installations in stadia and arenas and entertainment venues.
So what is fascinating, I've tracked your career forever, and we've known each other. Kevin's a few years older than I am, but not by much, because
by much.
You graduate Marine High in 81?
In 1980. What a memory.
Yeah. So I graduated in 88 and always heard about Kevin Ivey. As I came to Mississippi State, start working at the TV Center as a student worker, there was always, hey, do you know Kevin Ivey from Meridian? And I remember, Kevin, when John Holloman came through the TV Center, I was still a student worker. John Holloman, legendary reporter at CNN. And actually, John and I had a mutual acquaintance in common, Barbara Boyles, who, Barbara's son, it was a good friend of mine, but she was a journalist from Holloman's hometown. in Georgia, and we talked about that for a second. But David Hutto, who was the longtime executive director, brought up Kevin Ivey, and Holloman just, I think, talked 5 minutes about Kevin Ivey, and it's like,
wow,
I've never met this Kevin Ivey dude. I keep hearing about this Kevin Ivey dude. You know, who is Kevin Ivey? But you were there early on at CNN. You left Mississippi State, and what did you do at CNN?
Well, at that time, CNN had a program called the Video Journalist Program. And if you were serious and wanted a job in television news, they started us out at the time, Robbie, at $4.10 an hour.
Wow.
So you were just above minimum wage, and in Atlanta, you were definitely, in the poverty zone. But the opportunity there was incredible. From the day I walked in, made great friends immediately who are still great friends, people that I still bump into, in this business. It really is amazing. But we were told that we could write our own ticket. It was not a union shop, so we had free reign of, production systems, control rooms, anything you wanted to do, you could do. And you had a mentor that helped you develop, your career path and what you wanted to do. And the esprit de corps there was unlike anything I had ever seen or have seen since. It was all about first getting it right and second getting it on the air. And it's funny that you mentioned John Holloman, because a couple of the biggest stories I was involved with both involved John. One was the Challenger disaster, when the space shuttle exploded on takeoff.
Yep.
And the other was the Gulf War. John was one of the boys from Baghdad. He was one of the guys on the balcony there watching the first Gulf War start. So really good guy. Rest in peace. It was amazing. John went to all kind of different battlefields and covered all kind of different things, and unfortunately was killed in an automobile accident on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, I've forgotten that. I read that when I was doing the bio research. He also was, if I recall, he was coming through the TV center. This would have been fall of 91, if I remember correctly. And he did a ton of ag reporting for CNN, if I remember.
He was the first agricultural reporter for CNN. That is correct. And I can't remember if he was hired at the time. CNN was run by a gentleman named Reese Schonfeld, and the second in command was Bert Reinhardt. And Bert had founded UPI Television News. Both were hired by Ted, and that was one of Ted's strengths, was finding the right people. And they had hired Lou Dobbs for business news, and I think John was one of the hires around agricultural reporting and the impact of agriculture on the economy.
CNN was so revolutionary, and as just doing research, as we were talking about Ted Turner last week, maybe it was the week before, I've slept since then, no one thought 24-hour news would work. And
that's right.
I mean, almost out of the gate, it did. And then headline news pops in, and then you have that half-hour repeating format, which was just incredible. But let me back up. Talk to me about Ted Turner.
Ted was an amazing person on a lot of different levels. And there's an old adage that we go by that, a bumblebee, based on his cross-section, his weight, and the surface area of his wings, cannot fly. But nobody told the bumblebee that, so he flies anyway. Well, that was Ted. He didn't see any impediments to his vision. And he imparted that vision to everyone, with this incredible enthusiasm. And if he hired you and he trusted you, you stayed on board. He did not suffer fools gladly, but he surrounded himself with a lot of folks in the upper leadership positions. I'll put it this way. Ted knew what he didn't know. So he surrounded himself with the people who did know and can answer those questions. I was fortunate in that I had a little bit of an inside route to Ted. A good friend of mine there was a reporter named Larry Woods. And Larry's wife, Dee, was Ted's administrative assistant. I mean, basically Ted's right-hand person. So in the early days, it's so funny looking back, even though we made $4.10 an hour, we did get 20 tickets to Braves games a year.
Okay. Well, was that a bonus or a punishment back in those days?
It was, I tell you what, it was an intimate situation because you'd show up to a Braves game and there were maybe 300 people there. You could sit anywhere you wanted, but that was always something we laughed about. But fast forward a few years later, I was very fortunate in that I got to spend some time actually in Ted's box, in the stadium. So my wife Robin and I watched the second pennant get clinched from Ted's box. So I mean, those are the kinds of things though that he did. Those are the kinds of things that he looked after people. Whenever you ran into Ted, if he didn't know you, the first thing he'd say, "Hey man, what do you do with me? Not what do you do for me? Where do you work? What do you do with me?" And he was genuinely interested in everything that we did. And he was also, Ted was lavish with praise, but not undeserved praise. Like if he saw something on air that he liked or that impressed him, he would write you a handwritten note.
Wow.
Thanks for all your contributions, or man, I just saw that awesome piece of work. Thank you. And it was not uncommon, to get a note from Ted like that. And so that built this family it really is the only thing that I could compare it to is folks who have been in combat together and have relied on each other, for their lives. That's the kind of kinship that we had in those early days of CNN. It really was Ted and us against the world, because you probably remember, Robbie, there were even lawsuits early on to ban CNN from places like the White House press pool.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's right.
So a good part of what was done up front on CNN, kind of like making a movie, 75% of it is legal. And that's exactly the way it was. And there was a guy named Steve Korn, who was the general counsel at Turner Broadcasting, who fought, his way through for Ted and made sure that those things happened. There was other guy named Bob Sieber, who, interestingly enough, has another Meridian connection. He married a lady from Meridian. So I will run into Bob every once in a while in Meridian. But he was the guy that put together the whole sales strategy for how they were going to sell CNN to advertisers. So that tight-knit group, and then he pulled in Gene Wright. Gene, a guy named Jack Orman, were old Army Signal Corps guys. So it was them who made sure that, first of all, WTCG at the time got on satellite. Then it became WTBS. Mm-hmm. Ted needed programming. That's why he bought the Braves, kind of at a bargain basement rate at the time.
Yeah.
But that's so he would have programming for TCG. And then they dreamed up CNN. They brought Reese Schonfeld on. Ted brought Burt Reinhardt on. Burt had founded UPI Television News. So you had all these great people who were masters at everything they did. And they pieced all this together for Ted, on his budget. So it was his vision, and he's the person that knew how to select the blocks to put it all together. And I don't think there's been anything like that since then.
Well, no, not at all. And I remember in Meridian when Comcast, it was TV Selection System. If you remember,
TV Selection System, I remember it very well.
Yeah. And I think they added WTBS and WGN at the same time. WGN was channel 3, WTBS I think was 11, and
it was channel 2 on the cable system.
It's right. It was 2 and 3. That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when CNN launched, it went on channel 8, which was unheard of.
That's right.
Yeah.
And channel 9 was Mississippi ETV. And,
that's right.
And
channel 13 was Rainbow Rock from WZZQ in Jackson.
That's right.
Boy, we're really geezing now.
4 was HBO. And it was scrambled unless it wasn't. And 5 was
the
5
clocks.
No. 5 was WTZH.
That's right. Yeah.
6 was WTOK. 7 would have been WDAM out of Hattiesburg.
Correct. Laurel, Hattiesburg. Yeah.
Until we got an NBC affiliate, which was WGBC up on the hill.
That's right.
9 was ETV. 10. What was 10? Was that
Maybe that was the instruments. You know, they used to have a camera on an oscillating motor.
Yeah.
That looked back and forth across the weather instruments and the clock.
I think that was it. Then 11 was, what'd you say 11 was? 11, what was 11? Was that?
I don't know that 11 had anything. 11 and 12, I don't think had anything at the time. It went from 9 to 13.
Yeah. And then at one point, C-SPAN ended up on 11, if I remember.
Yep.
After, okay.
Yep. And then ESPN.
Yeah. Way too geeky. I mean, way too.
I know that's it's sad that we remember all that. My wife would say, "Yeah, you can't remember which switch operates which light, but you can remember that."
That's right. But Ted Turner and WGN did more for baseball than anybody else, because I'm a huge Cubs fan, but we would watch Cubs and Braves. We'd watch Cubs in the afternoon because Wrigley had no lights, and then Braves at night. And that's why you have legions of Cubs and Braves fans across the country, because of, WGN and Tribune, but Ted Turner and what he did with TBS and the Braves.
Yeah, the super stations, as they call them.
Yeah.
And I remember in high school working radio, which you can appreciate. I used to sit Braves broadcasts, on the FM at night and do the commercial insertion and stuff. And then the funny thing is, one of the things they would allow us to do to pick up extra money, at our starving wages at CNN, is we could sign up to pull cable or run a parabolic mic or whatever during the Braves games, right? So you could make a few extra bucks. So a lot of times I ended up behind home plate in this little concrete cave where that behind the plate camera was, and I was there as a grip to move the camera to the other side if a left-handed pitcher, or if a left-handed batter came up. So awesome. You couldn't stand up in it. It was 110 degrees, but man, we were covering baseball. It was great.
Man, that's awesome. Well, so talk about, you got hired on at CNN in 85, but you advanced pretty quickly through the ranks.
I was fortunate in that I had edited a lot of tape before I got to CNN. So the first time they tested you to different levels, and that way you could move at your own pace. So the first opportunity I had to test for editing, I passed the edit test and went into the news edit pool. So I was editing tape within the first few months there.
So were you guys doing 3/4 inch Betacam? What were you editing on initially?
We started on Umatic on 3/4 inch.
Yeah.
And we made the transition to beta. It's funny, when the whole transition went from CNN, from the original CNN studios in the basement at 1050 Techwood, we moved to CNN Center. And that's when we made the transition to Betacam and the move to CNN Center to Beta SP.
I was going to ask, was it the old Betacam or was it SP?
It was SP. And go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, and so you guys, and we're really geeking out, probably only one person who's listening can understand any of this. So you were acquiring on 3/4 inch in field, edit base for 3/4 inch. Did you do anything with 1 inch?
We did. We did a lot of post-production with 1 inch. And again, I was fortunate in that VPR, that Ampex that we had all used at the extension service and the TV center, it's exactly what they were using at Turner. So I got checked out pretty quick on all the 1 inch. So I did a lot of work in post-production, and all of our library tapes were comped on 1 inch reels.
Gotcha.
So funny story. The two transfer stations for 1 inch to 3/4 were in a hallway right outside editing. So one day I've strung up a 1 inch and I've opened the front to get to the TBC, and I'm adjusting the bars, and Jack Orman, who was the chief engineer, walked by and he saw me with the front of the machine open, and he kind of looked at me real funny. He walked in, he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, Mr. Orman, I'm setting this machine up." He goes, "You know how to do that?" And I went, "Yes, sir." And he went, "All right." And he patted me on the back and he walked away.
Back in those days, you had to almost be a broadcast engineer to understand.
Yeah, but that was another thing we were, that we were all fortunate about, is we were shoulder to shoulder with broadcast engineers at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
many of whom held us accountable for matching cameras and things like that back when you had to do such a thing.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people were just learning as they went. They had journalism degrees, but when they showed up at CNN, there was a lot of the technical aspect that they still had to learn.
Yeah.
And fortunately, there were some of us like me and like you would have been and others that did have some experience, at local stations or other production areas where came in with a little under our belt. So that helped.
So you knew how to work the 1-inch without destroying the flying erase heads.
Right, exactly.
So where did that get you?
Well, it's funny, Robbie, about that time, that's when digital started to rear its head, and we began to get, news of things like edit droids and this device called this device called an Avid. And I began to pay close attention to what was going on at Avid. And I ran into a guy named Joe Torelli. And Joe used to be an editor for ABC News. And Joe was pushing Avid to build what they call the news cutter, to build a version of Avid that would allow you to cut news. So back then, and again, if you want to geek out, we can geek out, but you had to spit out an edit decision list from your Avid session, then go into a post-production suite, string up the tapes and let it put your piece together, from your camera originals. Well, we were trying to work on a version that allowed you to play directly to air from disc. So this is another one of those areas where Ted was a little bit daring. He understood the impact of technology. He understood, what it was going to take to really build the company and expand the company without expanding the payroll. So we were looking to leverage technology wherever we could. Long story short, I got one of the first Avid news cutter prototypes, and I set it up in the feeds area at CNN and was just practicing with it. Well, you know how necessity is a mother. We had a 3-hour special that was being produced on CNN International about all the famine in Africa. And they came over to the tape desk and they asked if we could cut it down into a half-hour program to air like at 7 a.m. that morning on CNN or something.
Oh, no.
Well, yeah. So guess what time the whole thing ended? The 3-hour live extravaganza ended at 7 a.m. So, okay, how are we going to get that on the air? So I said, I can do that. And they went, how? I said, well, I'm going to start ingesting it, on this machine over here. I'll edit the A and B block. We'll start playing the A and B block to air from it, and I'll finish editing the C block, and then we'll play it. They were like, you're out of your mind. I said, no. I said, I think this can work. And the director was a guy named Claude Newman, and so we had it on the router and had it routed up and got it edited. And when it came 7 o'clock, I started rolling the A block, which is compilation from the first hour, and the B block the second hour. Got the third hour edited and read it and played it all back. Well, all the folks in the control room, producer, director, everybody came back. How did you do that? Show us this. So I was showing it to them. And I'm a little proud of myself, I'll be honest. But the next day, my boss comes in and says, Kevin, Gene Wright wants to see you. Well, Gene Wright was the chief engineer of Turner Broadcasting System. And I thought, wow, so that got to Gene quick. I'll go up and talk to him, tell him what we did. I walk into his office and he is livid. There's steam coming out of his ears. And I said, what? He goes, who told you you could do that? I said, nobody, Gene. I mean, we had the tools and we had the need. He just stopped mid-sentence. He says, I'm about to walk down the hall and tell Ted, you've got to go. This is like on the 14th story of the North Tower, and he wasn't bluffing because he was right down the hall. He said, how dare you? And I said, Gene, I have tremendous respect for you guys. Well, apparently not. You could have taken us off the air. How in the world, and just got dressed down for playing video off of a hard drive. So it's just to put all this into perspective. I don't know if it was the first time it happened, but it was the first time it happened at Turner Broadcasting.
So the interview was so great, we decided to split it across 2 episodes. Suppose it saves us some work at the end. What did you guys think about the first half of Kevin?
You ended on a cliffhanger. I can't wait to hear what happens next.
I cannot remember where I ended it.
Well, he had just gotten called on the carpet because of doing
the play out.
the play out from the computer.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting.
There's
I mean, pretty much of a pioneer in some things.
Oh yeah. I mean, us Meridian guys, we blaze, we blaze trails. So
right.
I think
I have a history in Meridian.
Yeah,
a 2.5 year history. In Meridian.
2.5 year.
Yeah.
Jay has none. So
but
may not be a good thing or a bad thing.
Meridian is where the love of Batman and the Beatles and Wild Wild West came from.
Gotcha. So, but you were
very
born,
formative years.
You were born in Hawaii.
No, I was born in West Point.
You were born in
Hawaii. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but like within days, I was living in Pensacola, Florida, after being born, and then Texas, and then Hawaii, and then back to Meridian.
So we should go to the top of the 3-foot building and do a podcast one time.
That would be fun.
Have you guys been to the rail car at the top of the?
No, I haven't been in the 3-foot building other than just downstairs in the lobby.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I've pretty much been to Weidman's in the auditorium.
Yeah,
in the auditorium. It's called the Opera House.
Yep,
that one. All right, so we'll have segment 2 next week. Thanks for joining us.
Wait, okay.
What?
I had
Hold
a couple
on.
other things I wanted to mention.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
First of all, I did like hearing about the extension service being mentioned.
Yeah, I thought
recently
you might.
retired from said extension service in the TV center. That was good.
That's right.
And also the baseball place. The spot that he was where he shot behind the plate on the baseball for the Braves games.
Yeah, he had the parabolic mic to pick up stuff.
Sounded like one of the pre-OW hot boxes.
It did.
It's like where you went,
Sounded miserable.
He had a baseball like Steve McQueen did in Great Escape, and it's just a terrible thing. But anyway.
But he didn't have his own cool theme song. You got any notes there?
No.
One more really geeky thing. Edit Droid.
Yes.
Okay, that's a Lucas product. That's George Lucas's product. That's when he was first venturing into this idea of digital, and which launched this whole non-linear editing digital stuff.
That's right. So they would take rushes, they would burn them to laser disc.
Yes,
and then they would have a whole bank of laser disc players, and with an edit controller to be able to come in and say, okay, I need this from this disc, and it would play, and you could look at it in real time.
Yeah.
So the Edit Droid technology ended up being sold,
right? Exactly.
And it became Avid.
Yeah, and by the time he got it, it had already been sold.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's right. It became Avid.
I've got a fascinating history of that. I've got a book in there.
So we've both read it. We've talked about it.
Oh
yeah. It's really, really cool.
It's fascinating.
I can't remember. It's something like Edit Droid.
Anyway, it's super geeky.
Have you read it?
No. And I mean, I was going to say that though. Even though I didn't follow all of the terminology, it's still a fascinating story, and you can still pick up on the fact that he, was, leading the industry in a way, and not just being at CNN in the beginning days, but his knowledge and practice was pretty incredible.
And it's funny, I didn't meet him in person till he came back here as an adjunct instructor.
Okay.
So, and that would have been somewhere around 02, 03.
Okay.
Because like I said, I'd heard about Kevin Ivey.
Y'all are 10 years apart pretty much, right? Because he's the same age, aren't you?
He graduated from state in 85, 7 years apart.
He graduated in 84.
84. So 7 years
he's the same. He graduated high school in 80 like I did. He's the same age I am.
Yeah.
So I think we're 10 years apart.
And he knows your sisters.
Yeah, and Susan, I talked to Susan this weekend. She remembered him. Yeah. Beth did too, but Susan really remembered him probably better than.
Yeah.
So.
Great guy. Great guy.
Sounds like.
I'd love to get him back on to do some other stuff later on.
Yeah,
I'd love to get his take on PV electronics.
That'd be cool.
And just that whole, what's happened there. So anyway, all right. Can I sign off now?
You can now, yes.
Jay, you have anything?
It's all good.
All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time around.